Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. How did a strikerless Liverpool knock 6 past Tottenham? That's what we're going to talk about in this one. We're going to go through every single goal and we're going to show you the good, the bad, and the people that aren't really going to get spoken about at all. Salah, of course, we've got to talk about him. Diaz, of course, we've got to talk about him, and we will. But there's so many other players that actually had little moments in this game that I don't think people will focus on, so that's what we're going to try and do here. I also want to give some context. I did a video after the Man United-Tottenham game talking about Tottenham, and one of the problems was, understandably, the back line, because if you look at it, you've got a 24-year-old who actually wants to play on the right-hand side in Jed Spence. You've got Archie Gray, who is a hell of a player, by the way. He is going to be something really special, but not as a centre-back, and I think not in a centre-back that has the amount of movement that it has, and not in the best way, like in terms of getting dragged out. And then Dragusin, who's got to kind of come out and help out a lot of the times. He's 22 himself. Porro, of course, you know, he's the right back. There's only so much he can do, even though he's 25 and that little bit more experience. But, you know, if we compare that to Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, Alexander-Arnold, and, of course, your first choice goalkeeper having Becker back, I think that's important to say. And actually, there were moments where this Liverpool backline used their intelligence really, really well just to navigate the game. So many goals to get through. So let's get into it. One area I did worry about, I think, is when you think of like Salah, Alexander-Arnold, Szoboszlai getting involved in here as well, and Diaz and the runs he'll make, although he didn't in the end really. But in particular, this triangle, this was a triangle I was a bit concerned about. Is how were they going to be able to cope with this triangle here, and with what we saw in terms of how they played. There's two triangles that you often see with them, and actually it's Robertson more so than anyone. You actually see a triangle on this side all the time with Liverpool. Triangles on both sides. And what that meant was these two players actually, a lot of the time, weren't actually kind of marking players until it was too late. Let me explain exactly what I mean, because the average positions actually show it better than I ever could. Because here we go. Look, Salah, in terms of, look how often he's touching the ball in the penalty box. And if you think of that triangles that I've just shown you, you've got Trent out here staying wide, getting into some lovely spaces here, but they knew that they could hurt this back line. They knew they could get at them, and they didn't need to do it initially. It was going to be about runners. It was going to be about work rate, and it was going to be about timing your runs as well. And then you got the roles of Luis Diaz. Let me touch on him here. Oh, you got Luis Diaz, who didn't really play as that centre striker too much. A little bit every so often in that central area. You can see him there just above the arrow. But coming over to that left-hand side to cause problems. But Szoboszlai got himself in the box so much. He was absolutely everywhere in this game. And anyone who knows me this season and just generally, Szoboszlai is so good. And I'm about to explain why he's so good. But as a team, they are so well drilled. And I think what they were happy to do in this game was kind of flood the box at the right times, put the pressure on the opposition of Tottenham, and kind of look to get in behind, because often they do like to sort of press up, and therefore there is these kind of spaces a little bit hot, in between, in that no man's land that Fraser Forster's never going to be able to get into. But also something that we talk about a lot, kind of working the gaps. Salah often a lot more narrow than we normally see him. Actually, he was allowing Trent to kind of be over in this space. What we'll say, we'll go right to the start of this one, because actually what's really important, first moment of someone else, the other guys that you're not going to really kind of focus on. What was really important here, Joe Gomez actually stepped forward just to kind of come into this spot here for this first goal. And what it did was it made it really difficult, like for Tottenham, because prior to that, they were kind of pretty set. Obviously, that's your back four, but they were compact. And then your four here. And they were okay. And the ball actually was over on the other side. And if you went to Van Dijk, they would have been able to shuffle across Tottenham. But Heung-min Son wasn't able to get anywhere near Trent. And that's why I think Trent's positioning in this game is maybe slightly different, not as narrow as possible. And it allowed Joe Gomez to step into this area to get the ball and then get the ball over to Trent. And it made the goal feel really, really comfortable in its execution, but a big part of that was Joe Gomez stepping up. So if you do get to see that again, that is a big part of it. By him being able to be here, the next thing I want to focus on is, so first of all, Heung-min Son, he's not going to be able to get there. This is after Trent's taken a touch. So Trent takes that touch, and as he takes that touch, and this is something we've spoken about a few times, they look up. Salah does it, whoever does it, especially when they're on this line that we always talk about, in that lovely little area, and you've got someone like Trent, who, even though he's a bit further out, he's got such whip on his crosses that he can get into really, really great, dangerous areas. He's looking up. So this feels like something that was planned, because if you think of the second goal, which we're about to come to, is a similar thing going on in terms of looking to put those crosses in and looking to kind of have a bit of a 3-on-2. I think it's because this back line's not overly compact. There's always gaps in between, but also with this area here. Now, this left channel was something that Bruno Fernandes was able to exploit a lot of the time. And if you think Luis Diaz was actually kind of here initially, and actually Szoboszlai was sort of dealing with Dragusin, and Pedro Porro was always kind of thinking about Gakpo out wide here, it does leave this channel available. And so when Trent gets his head up after taking that touch, it's so clearly kind of worked on that they're going to try and get the ball here. They're trying to get the ball in this channel, because I think that's where they felt like they could really, really hurt this team because of what happened at the weekend. Pape Sarr kind of, look, he probably wants to go with his man, but he thinks, oh, maybe he'll be all right. Dragusin's occupied, Archie Gray, and I might say Archie Gemmell, by the way, because it keeps coming out. But what I love here, and it's the first time, and I'll show you, keep watching this video, because by the end, I'll be able to show you how hard Luis Diaz works for this team, and he's not the only one. But you can see from his body language there, you can see he's on that arc, his body weight is moving forward, he's on his bloody way to get himself into the box. And so, of course, he does, and you've got someone like Trent with the quality that he's got, and so by the time he's kind of made that run, if you think of Diaz, Pape Sarr, he's gone. And also, if you think of that channel, they're in that channel. There's two players there. Actually, Szoboszlai sort of spun and gone into that area himself, actually, behind Dragusin, because they knew this channel here was an area that they could go and exploit, and then there was going to be knockdowns for other players. Ball goes in, so by the time, and this again is just sort of, it shows the sort of plaudits you can give someone like Luis Diaz in terms of being alive, but Arne Slot and how clever he is as well in terms of looking to exploit it. He looks like he's offside by this point. And actually, I think Salah has a look at the line at the end of it all. But it's a great header as well. And the second goal is more of the same. Because what's really important this time is I want you to see McAllister. So McAllister has a look at Robertson, just to the left of him. He's out of shot at the moment. And what you know is Gakpo is going to cut inside, because he always cuts inside. And also another person who's important is Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's not here waiting it or not here waiting for it. He's looking to go and, I think, get on Archie Gray a lot of the time. I think they saw a weakness there. But also, I think, again, he's thinking about this channel, the channel between the centre-back and the full-back from the opposite side on this occasion. So it feels like Szoboszlai can win those headers against Archie Gray, against Jed Spence on this side, and because of those gaps. So the ball gets pulled back. And if you watch this, so look at McAllister's body position here. Pretty chilled, taking his time, because it's not time to get in the box just yet. If we move it on one more, that's literally, like, look at the ball. So the ball's with Gakpo. Literally probably about a second later, he's now knows that he needs to make his march. And that wouldn't have happened if he didn't absolutely know that that cross is coming in. Szoboszlai knows. Salah knows. But McAllister knows as well. And so, again, a team that doesn't have a striker playing for them, it's about the timing of the runs, committing of those bodies, but committing those bodies at the right time. And so this whole midfield line, no one's going to get anywhere near him. He's too late for that. And as we move it on, he also knows that that cross is coming. There's that duel there for Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is the conduit to so many great things for Liverpool this season, and he won't get the numbers. But also, McAllister won't get the goal if he doesn't commit to that run. So the cross comes in early, and now, despite having a team where Luis Diaz wants to work off here, Szoboszlai's playing off here, he's supposedly a winger, you've actually got 4 players in the box. And so when it does drop down, and actually if we go back one more, the other thing again, we're talking about the gaps, he's driving into this gap, he's driving into this gap. Makes it very difficult for the Tottenham defence to deal with it. And so Szoboszlai does really well, wins the header, and McAllister's there to put it away. And now all of a sudden they're 2 up. One player that I can't not single out for Tottenham is Kulusevski. His work rate, it absolutely astounds me, the work rate. But what's really interesting as well is, like, this goal is at 41 minutes. So this is a goal that gets them back into it. And again, it puts forward that question of, once you get 2-1, do you just go, do you know what? They probably should have scored more than 2 here. Let's just get into half-time and give ourselves a bit of a chance. This actually comes from pass into McAllister from Trent. And interestingly, like, poor from him. But actually, if you watch it back, what you'll see is McAllister has a little look. He does scan. He does scan to see if Kulusevski's there. Kulusevski's so quick. And actually, McAllister's a little bit unfortunate. Kind of as he looks, Kulusevski's not gone yet to go and press him. And then he gets undone because his touch isn't great in there. But it's a good example of the way that Tottenham can press. And when you have got your sort of first starters here, really, in Sarr and Kulusevski and Maddison, when they do play in there but they don't play well or their touch isn't right, they were ready to pounce. And in particular, Kulusevski was crucial throughout. Wins the ball here. Maddison does really well and gets himself a great finish. Really, really good finish. Never a foul, in my opinion, at all. But what's interesting is that it kind of leads to the next goal, because I think a few minutes later, you've got a quite excited Tottenham. They've got a goal back and, understandably under Ange, they're going to go for it. Now, you can't see Trent. He's out of shot here. And obviously, he's played this long pass up to Dominic Szoboszlai. A few minutes earlier, there's also Jed Spence is here as well. A few moments earlier, he'd played that pass into McAllister. But I think this is a great example of just of accepting the game, first and foremost, but then being able to break and just go, look, okay, how do we want to go and win this game? Because as that ball comes up, instead of playing it into danger, he's gone, do you know what? We're going to go long. And I think throughout the game, they were certain that Szoboszlai could do well in this channel, be it up against Archie Gray, if he had to. But actually, again, something that happened in the game against Man United a lot of the time was that Archie Gray would have to pull over here to deal with Salah, because Jed Spence had made his way over here. So you've got the whole team sort of moving about by this point. Gakpo was keeping the width here. They were getting ready for this channel being on the wrong side of it as well. And because Dragusin was getting dragged out, no pun intended, to deal with Szoboszlai, but Szoboszlai is big enough to sort of play this role almost as a bit of a target man, let's say. It had them all at sea. And one ball over the top meant that you were able to beat that press really, really easily. Szoboszlai wins the head down. And then there's some really great football. And so, again, the man I'm going to go on about is Szoboszlai, but also the brilliance of Mohamed Salah in terms of him seeing what's going on. And there's just an all-knowing understanding that this team is outrageously athletic, incredible in transition, and they're going to hurt you. So Szoboszlai wins one header, and now it's 3 against 2. I thought Archie Gray, look, oh God, not splitting hairs, but like giving an impossible task, isn't it, in terms of dealing with Salah? But Salah kind of has him on strings throughout this. Can Archie Gray get closer and affect him? I think the problem is, 1, Salah is stronger than him. 2, he's probably quicker than him. 3, he's got better feet than him. 4, he's probably a bit intimidated by him. So these are all problems. And what's great is, think about that width that they had initially. So he's won one header, but look at Salah here. Salah's so switched on. He actually sort of drifts away so that he can allow the time for those runners. But what he also does, he looks over that right shoulder and he knows pretty quickly, it doesn't take long, Szoboszlai's on his way. So Szoboszlai, who's just won that header, doesn't stand still. He goes again. And his work rate, these two, their work rate in this game was absolutely phenomenal. So much so, it meant that you didn't need a striker, because you could have 2 attacking 10s that were actually going to, one was going to be a bit of a target man for you sometimes, one was going to be an advanced forward for you. And I'll show you some examples because we've got so many goals that we can enjoy here. But Salah, real great understanding and nuance, the work rate. And so by waiting just that second, these 2 defenders are worried about this. They themselves have not been able to scan. Dragusin's not been able to get back in time. And Szoboszlai, because of his work rate and energy and stamina, he's able to, get himself into this area and get himself the goal. It's brilliant. It's really, really brilliant. Yes, they're so open. I get that when it comes to Tottenham, but this is the worst team I think you could ever play because of the amount of bodies that they throw forward in terms of being able to kind of hurt you in that moment. And yeah, I don't want to go too hard on Tottenham because I just think I think it's one where they were just so good. They were so good, Liverpool, in this game. And it comes from, that energy and that work rate of this team. And there are actually some undercover kind of heroes in all of this as well. And one of them's Robertson. Now, Robertson's at fault for one of the goals a little bit later on, but this is the next goal in the second half. And what needs to be remembered here is Pedro Porro is making a run here. Kulusevski's about to receive the ball, he's about to open up, and he knows that space is there. And the person who deserves credit here is Robertson. Because if Robertson doesn't go, and now I think there's definitely this debate about his legs going a little bit. I think he does seem a little bit jaded, let's say. But he's still a proper great professional and understands the danger. Does have that old school fullback mentality in terms of seeing the danger and looking to stop it. And this is a massive, massive tackle that he makes because he goes and closes down the space. If he's able to turn and go, you're in a whole host of trouble. And if you do commit and don't get close enough quickly enough, there's going to be this little pass into here for Porro. And Tottenham might have got themselves back in the game, but no. He comes in, he clatters him, he wins the ball. Look at the space he would have had, Pedro Porro. But he doesn't get to do it because Robertson was switched on. Again, probably great instructions from Arne Slot, but you've got to see it and do it and win that duel, and he does. And from there, Liverpool can break, and they do. And so, again, in terms of the break and the overload, this is something that people won't focus on, is that now Pedro Porro's got to make an absolutely gargantuan run with Gakpo having that kind of starting point. Robertson's going to show some energy as well, and the whole team, the volume of players that go. Diaz, I think this is Szoboszlai here as well. They are all going to make a march. And for other teams, maybe Porro might be able to get back. Maybe. But not this Liverpool team. The way they break, it's frightening. And off they go. We talk about playing with no strikers. What we do know is Salah will be that last man forward. We saw that from the average positions. And he was getting those final touches in the penalty box. And there was that weak point on that left-hand side. But the running. That's Robertson there as well. It's gonna make you quit, but it's also about the timing whilst you've got the ball and having great dribblers who can do that, but also see the pass and know that run is coming. We spoke about Luis Diaz being that kind of advanced forward to sort of run beyond at times, but starting from a position like this is an absolute disaster for these two. What on earth are they supposed to do? Like, what are they? Don't ask me, because by the time it moves on, you're at the 18-yard line. Now, this is the first point of call where you can go, right, we can kind of make a decision and create a line here. Dragusin, what do you want him to do in this moment? And this is the great thing about Liverpool as well, that they're so much more refined, I think, than last season. Because as much as he's dribbling, he knows that run's coming and he knows that pass will be played at the right time into the right space. And you've got 5 against, you could say Jed Spence got back, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Up against 3.5, if we're honest. Pedro Porro still running back, and the timing of the run. And there were so many moments where this back line would kind of had one player kind of at them, but also another one going the other way. And Dragusin really struggled with that. And what is he supposed to do? The lack of protection that he has there, it's just the way that they play. And I think against a superior team like Liverpool, you're in trouble. The ball gets played. And then again, guess who I'm going to talk about? Salah scores the goal. We're not talking about Salah. We're talking about Szoboszlai. Nearly forgot his name. Because even in this moment, right, and you're in behind goal, even in this moment, Archie Gray does really, really well. So this is why I kind of don't really want to have a go at the back line of Tottenham. And actually, I thought a lot of the time, assuming the first half had a lot of hard work about him, but they were just absolutely undone here. But again, energy matters. Work rate matters. Giving yourself a chance and sort of earning the luck. The ball comes across. Archie Gray does really, really well. And so it drops. And if Szoboszlai doesn't make this run, doesn't break his neck to get there. Now, he doesn't score the goal. But if he doesn't break his neck, someone else would have cleared that. And now he doesn't get the goal. Hopefully it's on the next one. Salah gets the goal. Salah gets the plaudits. Salah deserves the plaudits. But it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen if Szoboszlai is not breaking his neck to get there. And so he didn't get the goal for the for the second one. He didn't get the goal for this one, and I'm losing count now in terms of which goal this might have been. I think it was the fourth one. But he's so crucial in terms of giving them those little breaks at times. And of course, they get the goal from it. This is the next one. So this is again Szoboszlai. It's all about Szoboszlai, I'm afraid. Making that run, driving run, energy, getting in behind, very difficult. I thought the distances that he had with Archie Gray were really, really difficult for him as well. And I'll show you that for the next goal as well. But here, this time, he knows that there's this space in behind here. And the touch is gorgeous. It comes at him, he gets across him. Archie Gray, poor bloke, he's now facing this way. He's got all this space to go and get himself a goal. And he's already got himself a goal. I might have said he didn't before. He gets into this area. He obviously does get a goal because he gets the third one, doesn't he? And this area, again, it's just in terms of his thought process. Other players, I think, and this might be to his detriment. Let me know in the comments down below. This might be to his detriment that Szoboszlai won't get the numbers because he's probably not selfish enough. I think most other players shoot here. But the quality, and this is what once he's played this pass, I'm going to just draw a line. See, I'm going to zoom in, then draw a line. The quality of that in terms of knowing, not getting that ball sort of cut out to give yourself the easiest chance possible, to give it to your guy Salah, taking Jed Spence completely out of the equation, who wholeheartedly, understandably expects him to shoot, and so is diving in. It's again, the word is refined for me. They're just so really well refined, and that is a tap-in. Salah will get, Salah, what have I got? 229 goals, is it? 2 goals and 2 assists in this game. He's a joke. We know he's a joke. But both of those goals come from Szoboszlai. It's phenomenal stuff. It's phenomenal stuff. The work rate, the intelligence, the spacing. It's so good. Back to Tottenham, back to Kulusevski, back to the brilliance of him. And I think you've got to, not wrap him up in cotton wool, but at some point you're going to need to be careful with this lad. Because I just wanted to highlight how hard this lad works. Because Solanke, he plays it into him. And by the time he actually gets the ball, if you just work through it, he first of all makes a run here. But he then makes a run here. So he makes 2 runs, runs of 2 different players. You would expect another person to make that run. Constantly moving, constantly working. Van Dijk a little bit unlucky. Great little pass from Solanke. A little scoopy whoopy. And then the finish as well. I got a bit of heat on Twitter saying he's player of the season. I think he won't get it because he's playing for Tottenham and they're having the season that they're having. And I understand that. He is outrageous this season. In terms of his feet, his output, the running that he's putting, like, the guy's a machine. Like, if it came out that he was on something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, finally, it makes sense. The sprints, he's so far past anyone else. And I know it's a style of play thing, but it's also a Kulusevski being an absolute joke thing. And I think 24 is the new prime, isn't it? Like, in terms of footballers, you can see that in this Liverpool side as well. And this goal, maybe a quick reflection on Robertson, because Robertson, I was like, how have you not won that? And I think maybe there's a bit more nastiness that he needs to get back into his game, but to get done by Brendan Johnson, I think is disappointing. But if we play it on, what we see is the cross comes in. The ball's right here, by the way. And what Brendan Johnson does really well, actually, is he gives him a little bump. He gives him a little nudge, and it kind of makes it too hard for him, and he puts him off just in time whilst the ball's high and in the air. Not as it's coming over, before that. Really clever stuff from Brendan Johnson. He wins the header. Header goes to Solanke. Really good finish by him. But we've spoken about Szoboszlai a few times, and we spoke about the spacing, and I did just want to touch on that as well, because this, I think, is the last goal, and there's 2 players, again, it's probably the same 2 that I've focused on throughout the games. Luis Diaz, and we'll give him his flowers here, because remember his starting point here, just as Jota is about to play this pass to Szoboszlai. Now, Szoboszlai could have made this run, but that's not awkward. He's always thinking about what's awkward and what's going to allow me to get that pass into Salah, what's going to make it difficult for you two, what's going to make you come off your line and give that space in behind that I can then exploit. He's always thinking about that. Always being these awkward lines as well. Like, even here, like, he's not in line here. He's here. He's in that half space. Always in a really, really awkward area. And this team knows each other. But once that happens, once that pass is going to get played to him, Luis Diaz, like, to start here, pass gets played. Really good from Jota, by the way. And the way they were just so comfortable picking apart Tottenham. That pass gets played. Look at him. He's on his way. And he's going to make this run here. And again, we talk about no strikers at all, playing without strikers. But actually, you had with these two, you had your complete strikers whilst starting in a midfield position. You had your target man, your Teddy Sheringham, your shadow striker, whatever you want to call it. And then Luis Diaz, the energy to do this, I can't tell you what minute it is, but you tell me in the comments. It's late in the game. Again, Salah, great distances from him as well. They're just so refined. We move it on. And by this point, Szoboszlai has got it, has played it. These guys got dragged a little bit. He's got it to him. It's now awkward for him, and it leaves that space in behind for Luis Diaz. But Luis Diaz was here. For him now to be here at this stage of the game, it's unnecessary, if I'm honest. But it's class. And that's the kind of players you want. Salah, his vision and his passing has just gone through the roof this year. And the final thing I want to touch on, because I think it's just a lovely little touch, and again, another sign of how good Liverpool are. And I appreciate I've gone pretty big on how good they are, but they absolutely. I think it's been more glaring today because Tottenham give you that chance, but they've absolutely picked them apart today. We move on to the final moment here, and the goal, great goal, great finish. But say Foster had got a touch, Jota would have been there, wouldn't he? They're just on it. They're just so on it. Incredible team. Wholeheartedly deserve to be at the top right now. Great subs that can make a difference and don't even need a striker right now. The ebb and flow. More importantly, the flow of this team is really, really impressive. I'm going to do a video talking about the title contenders, I think, now on More James Allcott. That's my brand new channel. If you want to go check that out, please do. Have a wonderful Christmas. Hit the like button if you'd like to. Don't if you don't want to. All the best. Lots of love. Mwah.